Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. This is my very first YouTube video and I just wanted to do a little video just introducing myself to you guys and telling you a little bit about my background and why I decided to become a full-time reseller. So if you don't know what reselling is, that's just basically when you purchase items at a low cost and you turn around and hopefully at a low cost and you turn around and you resell that for a profit. And so I've really only been full-time since October of 2019, but I've been somewhat part-time for a couple years, and I currently sell on the Poshmark app, eBay, and then I dabble a little bit in Etsy and Mercari. So again, my name is Ashley. You can find me on eBay and Poshmark as Ashley's Gems. You can also find me on Instagram under the same name. And so my Instagram is a little more personal than business, but you will see a little bit of the reselling journey on my Instagram. So backing up a little bit, I have a background in retail management and retail in general. And so a little history, I guess you could say, is back in like 2006, I was, a long time ago, I was in my early 20s, and I was a retail store manager for a big box, like discount store. And I really enjoyed my work. I really enjoy, I'm a workaholic, and I just work all the time, basically. So I really enjoyed that work. But in 2006, I was a newlywed, and I was pregnant, expecting my first child. And so he was due to be born in December, actually New Year's Eve of that year. And so I'm working as a store manager. I had a great team. I was very hands-on, and I wouldn't really necessarily say it was my fault or anything that I did wrong or anything, but in early October of that year, I had to go out on bed rest, and the second week of October, I was hospitalized, and my first child was born via C-section, emergency C-section on October 20th. So he was about 9 weeks early. And he was in the hospital for 4 weeks. So with me being out of work on bed rest and then out of work with a child in the NICU, that company decided that they were not going to retain my position, and they replaced me and basically just let me go, which, looking back, they obviously could have handled it better. I'm pretty sure there's probably legal ramifications that, prevent companies from doing that, but I was young, and that actually was probably the best thing that ever happened to me. Being that I was a store manager in retail for a couple years, I did have a little difficulty finding kind of just a laid-back job. I was looking for something that wasn't going to take as much time and energy, I guess you could say, away from my new baby. And so I got a job as a pharmacy technician for a retail company, because I did have a background in retail. And I did that for a long time. I did that through, the infancy and the toddler years of my firstborn. And then I had another child in 2009 and decided to take some college courses to get a degree to kind of get out of that. Retail is really difficult. Your hours sometimes can be dictated by, the company and where you are and what is busy for that area. You basically work weekends, you work holidays, you work whenever they tell you to work. And having small kids, it's difficult. And so I did not have the support system, I guess you could say, that was ideal for that situation. And it was hard. And so I decided to, like I said, take some college courses to get a degree for a completely different avenue. And I did that from the time that my second child was an infant. I got a 2-year degree in nutrition, and then I went to get a 4-year degree in nutrition to become a registered dietitian. And so some people are probably thinking, wait a minute, you just said you're a full-time reseller. What does this have to do with dietitian work? So I was in a program that basically took the courses that you did it in community college and applied that to your degree. And I should have been able to get a 4-year degree and be able to sit for the registered dietitian test and all that good stuff in 2 years. I was on track. And then I went through a separation, a divorce, a move, about an hour and a half away from where I was living before, and just kind of decided that was just not the path for me. I enjoy nutrition. I enjoy creating meals for people. I enjoy talking about what your body needs and things like that. I enjoy the science behind the makeup of foods and our bodies and how different we are and how those things kind of all work together. But it just wasn't what I was needing at the time. And so I just decided to get a general education 4-year degree. And so I was still working as a pharmacy technician full-time. I kind of cut back my hours a little bit, but I was still considered a full-time employee. And in 2016, living in a new town, single mom, taking care of her 2 boys, I met a man, my current husband, who had this beautiful, full beard. And women that are beard women know what I'm talking about when I say, like, a perfect beard. And it became kind of a thing that, I didn't have that before in my first marriage. My first husband doesn't have a lot of hair. But my second husband, my current husband, he has a beautiful beard. He has a lot of hair, and he has a great beard. And so that became a topic of kind of conversation. And come to find out, there was a lot of issues he was having with keeping his beard healthy, with keeping his skin from getting itchy and whatnot. So being the workaholic and the researcher that I am, I started doing some research on the skin and what the skin needs and what a beard needs. And I just kind of threw together some products for him to try to see if it would help. And this is like when we were first dating, when we were like early on first dating. But he trusted my judgment, and he tried it and loved it. Like, it actually helped the dryness, it helped the growth, it helped just the general healthiness, the look of his beard. And so we started talking to friends about it. We started talking to family about it. And this topic became a business for me. And so I created Wise Beards and Grooming. And that was just kind of a side job for me. That was something that I just really enjoyed. Like, I am somebody who I have an addictive personality. I am not, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do recreational drugs, because I know that I do have an addictive personality that's just in my genes. So I work. I enjoy it. I do it all the time. And so when this kind of became an idea, I just ran with it. And so I started selling these products in a little boutique. I was still working full time. I was living in one city. He was living in a different city, about 25 minutes from me. And so we kind of just jumped into it. And he would test products, and we had some family members that would also test products. And so Wise Beards and Grooming was created. And that was just kind of my side gig. That was just, I would do little small pop-up events. I would do festivals and all this stuff. And so it took over my kitchen, honestly. And so this little grooming business just kind of took off. And so when we decided to merge our two homes together and live together and really just got serious, I cut back my hours. And I just thought, okay, this could actually be something awesome. And so then I was working really part-time, and I was doing shows, and I was making products, and I was on Etsy. I was selling products on Etsy, and I had a website, and things were going really well. And so in September of 2018, I quit my job. Let me back up, because that summer I decided that I was driving like 45 minutes to work every day, and I was working 4 to 6 hours at a time, only like 2 to 3 days a week. And so we decided that it was really not worth it to do that, because then I was staying up till like midnight making products and doing photographs and listing and shipping and all that good stuff. And so I had the idea that I could sign up to be a substitute school teacher in my county, and I could work just whenever I could. So if there was a day that a job was available and I could work, then I would do that. And at that point, we had our products in about 10 shops throughout our state. I'm in North Carolina. And it was a lot of work, because I was driving and I was delivering products and all this good stuff. And so we were doing that. And then I was used to having, a lot of just money to just do whatever I wanted to with. And so when I decided to do my passion full time, I was really worried about money. I was worried about making sure that I had enough to put my kids in extra curricular activities, to be able just to take them out to eat if I wanted to just stuff. And so at the time, I've got 2 boys who were elementary school age, and my husband, boyfriend at the time, had one in the same age group. And so we had a ton of clothes that they were outgrowing pretty quickly. And so I also went from kind of having more of a professional type wardrobe with scrubs and whatnot to a more casual but also semi-professional wardrobe. It was really different, because I had some clothes that just didn't fit for what I was doing. And so I decided to try Poshmark. And if I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure I downloaded the app in December of 2017. So it was before I quit my full-time job. And I was selling just everything that was too small for the kids, anything that just didn't fit for us, clothes, shoes, those types of things on Poshmark. And that was doing really well. Like I was making decent money on this app, and I really didn't know a lot about it. The whole, social aspect of it, I didn't realize or didn't figure it out until like 8 or 9 months later. But I was doing pretty well on it. And so that kind of became another little side hustle for me. And I was, substitute teaching. I was working at Wise Beards and Grooming, kind of doing the whenever as needed type. If somebody needed products in a store, I was delivering it. And then I was also selling items on Poshmark. And so the Wise Beards and Grooming took off more. We were pulled out of some stores. We were put into more stores. I think we average about 14 to 15 stores per year. Some stores just don't work for us, and then we go into another store, and that may or may not work. So it varies. And then reselling kind of started to just happen. We were in a thrift store one day, and we saw some jeans. It started with jeans that were marked down to $1. And these were nice jeans. And when I say nice, for us, that was like just Levi's that were in great condition. There was a couple Lucky brand. So, brands that don't necessarily resell great now, but at the time were reselling pretty well. And so we invested, I want to say like $12 in 12 pairs of jeans just to see what would happen. And we listed those on Poshmark, and they did pretty well. And so that kind of got us thinking, okay, what else can we do? And so from there, it just grew. And we've always enjoyed the hunt. We've always enjoyed thrifting. And so we would thrift for ourselves, and then we would shop for things that, catch our eye that maybe wasn't my size, or, something that I couldn't wear, but something that somebody else would. And so it just kind of became a thing. And for a little while, my husband was selling one type of items on his little eBay store. He had an eBay account that he's had for years. And I thought, well, I also have an eBay account. It's not very old, but let's just try that too. And so I started to cross list and things like that. And so this reselling took off. Wise Beards and Grooming was doing well. I was no longer necessarily worried about, how I was going to pay my bills. It just kind of happened. And I mean, it's a lot of work. It didn't just happen, just happenstance happened. But it, with the work came the money, came the sales. And so the purpose of this channel is to give you guys a little bit of just background of how to run a resale business, what you do. And so now, 2020, we are reselling full time. We have 2 different eBay channels or eBay stores. And the reason we did that is because my husband's store is really focused. It's definitely a niche type store. He does a lot of media, a lot of video games and things like that. And he already had that account. That account was established. It had a pretty good number of feedback and was just in really good standing. And we got to where we were out of listings. And so instead of subscribing to a larger subscription with eBay, I had an eBay account too. And so we decided to just kind of split it. So we currently have 2 different eBay accounts that I pretty much manage. And then I also list on Poshmark. And I'll do another video pretty soon that just kind of talks about the goals and how I manage those 2 kind of separately, but also by doing the same thing. And then in October of this past year, 2019, we opened a retail store. And so a lot of resellers like reselling online because they don't have to see people. They do everything online. They sell on eBay. They ship. They don't have to actually interact with people. They can work around their family schedule and all this. And so we originally were looking for a storage unit or a warehouse or something in our town where I could go to work every day and actually not have to work out of my home. Before, my house was basically bombarded by the grooming business, by the resale business. Just my little 1,300 square foot home just couldn't handle it anymore. And so we also had a little outbuilding that I was also using for storage. I have, and I'll give you guys a tour of our store and kind of show you what we did and how that works for us. But basically, we were looking for just somewhere that I could go. I was getting very burnt out on being at home, even though I was traveling to different stores and I was delivering products and I was doing the occasional subbing. My home was no longer my home. It was my business. And I was working till the wee hours of the morning. I would wake up and I would work and I would it was just becoming too much. And so when we looked for storage type, warehouse type buildings in our town, there was not hardly anything. And so then we started talking, and my husband's always had this, I guess, goal or vision or something, desire to own a game store or like a used record store or something along those lines. And so there was quite a few buildings in our downtown area that were empty. And we made an appointment to look at one of them. It was a perfect spot. It was on the corner. The way that our like downtown area is set up, it's very small, but there's like four corners basically. And those four corners meet, and there's just kind of like a circle type area. And there's like 4 trees in the corners, and the buildings are all like an L shape inside those like 4 corners. And so this building was on a corner. And so anytime they would do festivals downtown, you're in the middle of everything. And in the summertime, like, they do stuff all the time. And so we went and looked at it, and it was rather small. I want to say like 600 square feet, maybe smaller than that. And the building itself was very, very old and outdated, and it has a lot of potential, but it just was not for us. It would have taken us months to get it to where we wanted it, and they wanted a lot for this particular location. So we were like, this is not going to work for us. Like, we cannot spend that much money on just something that we are taking a leap on. And so I had a number in my head, and I had money in, savings put back that I knew I wanted to be able to have a year's worth of rent and utilities before I signed the lease. Just in case it was a huge flop, just in case something happened crazy, I would not be over my head. And so we made some calls. We looked at some buildings. We just looked in windows at some buildings. If we couldn't get a hold of people, we looked at buildings that were way too big. We looked at stuff that was just way too small. We looked at just lots of different places. And so we were just a little discouraged. We were driving through town on a back road, and we saw this building that, honestly, I had never noticed before. But it had a office for rent or for lease sign in the window. So when we drove by it, I saw it, and I was like, hey, I wonder if that would be a good retail spot, or if they would even consider leasing for a retail spot. And so he's like, well, we could always just call. So we were going somewhere at the time. They were going to lunch or something. And then we said, well, we'll just try. So we came back through, and we called, and the owner of the building answered immediately. And my husband just kind of told him what we did and asked if he would consider leasing to us as a retail spot. And so he was like, sure, like, do you want to look at it? We were like, yeah, can we look at it now? And he's like, yeah, I'll be there in like an hour. And so we killed some time and came back and looked at the spot, and it is, I want to say 700 square feet. And it literally is set up like an office space. And so, like I said, I'll give you guys a tour of the building. But it's not perfect. It's not like an ideal retail spot. But for us, we wanted to open a storefront, but we also wanted to have the space to run our online. Like we did not want to give up the online business. We didn't want to give up the eBay or the Poshmark, and we wanted to continue to do that. And then this just kind of be a showcase or showroom of some of the better items that we have for sale. And so it actually worked out perfectly because there's 2 front rooms in this building, and we split our eBay stores pretty much right down the middle and put his in one side and mine in the other. There's a nice huge kitchen in this building with tons of storage, which was perfect for the grooming business. And then there's a back area that is long and skinny and is perfect for storage. So, it's not ideal for what you would consider a retail, secondhand store, but it's actually perfect for us. And the rent on this building is half what they were asking for the corner lot that's smaller in our downtown area. So we're still considered downtown, but we're on a very busy side road or back road, I guess you could say. And we do have some issues with traffic because people just don't know that it's a retail space. It was a office building for like 20 years or however long it's been here, which I'm pretty sure is like 20 years. And so people just don't see us. So we're currently open 4 days a week. And, the other 3 days I use for delivering my products for the grooming business and sourcing and all that good stuff. And so, reselling has actually been really good to us. And I love that I can work my schedule around my children. It's a little crazy having a retail store. But luckily for me, we close at 5 o'clock every day that we're open. We're only open Wednesday through Saturday. So I only have to worry about 3 days that the kids are in school. My oldest is actually able to ride the school bus and be dropped off right in front of the store. And he's actually my helper. He is great about doing inventory for me and pricing and all that good stuff. And then the other 2 kind of go to childcare if my husband's working. And so, but it's actually worked out great for us. It's an online retail store kind of turned into a physical retail store. But reselling is still my main income. And I can list something on eBay or Poshmark and throw it on the rack in the store, and within the day or 2, it sells and I have to pull it off the rack. And so that can be a little tedious at times, but we're actually able to open ourselves up to multiple different markets, I guess you can say. And so right now our main income is eBay, and we are kind of treating this building as a little extra income as far as the retail goes, and the eBay side of it is paying for it as kind of a storage type building. And we're hoping that will change the longer that we're here and the more people that see us and whatnot. But for this channel, I'm really going to focus on the reselling aspect of it and how we run our business and how we just kind of hold ourselves accountable. Because if you're in the resale business, you know that if you don't have either someone supporting you or holding you accountable, it can be difficult. Reselling is definitely hard. I think about the podcast, A Reseller Water Cooler, and in the beginning she talks about how reselling is hard, and it can be lonely, and it can just be just really difficult to push yourself and to be productive. And so I'm hoping that this channel will help me hold myself accountable and stay on task and just know that there's lots of reasons that I do this. So if you're still here, I really appreciate you watching this video. I'd appreciate a thumb up, and subscribe for more. We'll be just kind of going over in the next few videos our goals for this year and what we're doing new and different, and some crazy things that are coming our way, and how we're going to overcome these obstacles that we have in front of us. But I hope you guys have a great day, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Bye.